Fortnite is by far my favorite game. I love the different levels that you can play at, ranging from try hard sweat to chilling by yourself to memeing with friends. And regardless of that, the game introduced such an innovative game mechanic in how they use building and editing that you at least have to give them props for that. But despite these facts, I still haven't been having fun playing the game. It's been that way since around Chapter 2, and there have been many things that have inhibited me from getting a direct answer, be it hardware problems or adjusting to force cross platform. But I think that because of a glitch in the game and because of the recent Fortnitemares update, I have firm reasonings for why I haven't been having fun. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off by explaining how Fortnitemares slowed the game down and why that improved the game in my opinion. If you don't know what Fortnitemares was, it was an update to Fortnite which replaced the normal game modes of solos, duos, and squads with the Fortnitemare version of that. In Fortnitemares, the reboot van was made obsolete because when you died, you would immediately become a ghost, switch teams, and come back to kill people who were still alive. Along with this main update, they also drastically increased ammo amounts so you could spray at ghosts, and added fog and spooky noises for ambiance. The unintentional result of this update was that it forced back a way of gameplay that hadn't been seen for over a year. Reboot vans were brought into Fortnite around April of 2019 because Apex Legends was looking like it might be serious competition with Fortnite, and they had reboot vans, so Fortnite added reboot vans. They were first looked at as a last resort, but slowly the player base started to realize the possibilities that came with Reboot Van. Before it, you had to move as a team to have a better chance at living, and you had to play your own life first because you only had one. But players slowly started to see that the distance you could be away from your teammates had drastically increased. They had an additional 90 seconds to go and get your reboot card. Not only that, but now the player's life mattered less as they could just get rebooted after death. And as this slow realization happened, the player base slowly steered into a much more aggressive playstyle. The reason I think that the general player base shifted playstyles is the want to be better than the average person in your game. I remember when the get in their box strategy started up, it would usually just straight up end my game. So what did I do? I developed the skills to combat it. And once I had the skills to combat it, I had the skills to do it. But for the Fortnitemares update, this mentality needed to shift back. There were no more reboot vans. If your teammates died, they would now be trying to kill you. Not only that, but if you didn't have any teammates endgame and there was any coordination between ghosts, you would have no chance. The game was even slowed down a bit more with the fog because you just didn't see players as often. So, for like 12 days, Fortnite was brought back to a time before reboot vans. The second thing that happened that made me fully realize what was making the game less fun was a skill-based matchmaking glitch. Skill-based matchmaking is a game mechanic that puts players of the same skill level in the same games. Your placement in a game and kills in a game determine if you are in the right skill rating or not. So if I get a decent amount of kills or decent placement, I get shifted up in skill rating, and vice versa. Fortnite has skill-based matchmaking in solos and duos, but not in squads. So, my skill-based matchmaking glitch. I don't know what happened, but after not playing for a while, I hopped onto Fortnitemares and wasn't affected by skill-based matchmaking for like a solid few days. My kill-death ratio was better, I was getting more wins than normal, and I was actually having fun. I took this opportunity to look at what it was that makes skill-based matchmaking less fun than random matchmaking. The first thing I will say about this is that I wasn't being mean when this glitch happened. I play to be better than the average, so if I'm putting a lower skill rating, I just don't go as hard. But that is a good intro to one of the reasons skill-based matchmaking is less fun. You don't get to be better than the average. If everyone in my lobby is the same skill level as me, I have like a 50% chance of surviving any one encounter. I don't see that as fun, but it took me a while to understand why. And the reason it took me a while to understand is because the argument for skill-based matchmaking is a good argument. Skill-based matchmaking just shifts everything so everyone is having an equal experience. In random matchmaking, somebody has to die every time there's an encounter, so the total average for all players is a 50% KD 1-to-1. But skill-based matchmaking just tilts it so that the skilled players and the less skilled players die and win the same amount, which, as I premised, is a very logical argument. But the problem is it takes the fun out of a game. And no, I'm not saying I can only have fun if I'm stomping every person I get into a fight with. I'm saying it takes out the randomness and the interest that comes from that randomness. I could get into a fight with the best player or the worst player. I could see the remains of an epic build fight, or I could see a sky bridge above me. Skill-based matchmaking takes the variety out of the game. The most simple way I can explain it is if you looked at a noisy graph in comparison to the average of that same graph. The total average of both of the graphs is the same, but one is much more interesting and thus much more fun. What I'm trying to say is that reboot vans were a smaller but still significant push towards more competitive gameplay, and skill-based matchmaking was the final push. I feel that Fortnite's shift towards competitive gameplay isolated them from what makes the game fun. Now, since I think I hit the actual reasons and explanations pretty well, I want to go through some noteworthy extras. First, I'm not saying competitive isn't fun. There's a draw to competitive gaming and being the best, but casual gaming and casual fun just hits a wider audience. Second, they literally have separate competitive game modes, so skill-based matchmaking was already an unnecessary change. Third, I feel like the fun and randomness of casual gaming is a better transition into competitive stuff. My fourth and final thing is that randomness and the shift away from it is the reason for Fortnite's success and fall off. Randomness is the lack of strictness, and with that freedom, people can be creative within the game. Randomness is already a huge draw on YouTube, with titles that start with, "You won't believe." But there's also a huge draw to people just having fun in their own way with things. And YouTube is just free advertising, so the competitive shift took the fun away from the players, and it took the free advertising away from Fortnite. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little sharing of thoughts. I'd be happy to see some of your guys' responses or opinions in the comments. If you liked what you saw, chuck a like. If not, chuck a dislike. And if you did like the video, please subscribe, because my video to subscriber ratio is truly atrocious. Either way, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.